What is going on, everybody? This is Drew here. I want to welcome you all to a brand new episode of Phoenix Down. This is Phoenix Down Intermission. I have no idea because I didn't actually look it up, and it's been so long since we've had an intermission. But yeah, we're taking a week off. Matt has just got back from a vacation. I'm not entirely sure. So he hasn't had time to play Dead Space yet. So we're going to do a intermission show talking about hidden gems, which was something that we actually mentioned on the last episode. Today I have with me Anthony.
Hey. And
first-time guest host Terrence.
Hey! Happy to be here.
There you go. So we're going to be talking. We've done a hidden gem episode,
which is
before.
More of like a good game that wasn't talked about. Is the way I would separate these two things, right?
And this is more of a, what you said, a 6 out of 10 game that we like.
Yeah, I kind of rounded up and said, like, low 7s. You know, like up to 74.
Okay,
I was like...
So my stuff might be like low 7. I was like, oh no!
I think that's because it's like, that's kind of the realm I'm thinking these games exist in. Like, not so good it's great, but also not, like, remotely even, like, mediocre.
Yeah.
Because, like, mediocre games there's plenty of. I'm not going to talk about those. Those are usually the games I forget exist.
Yeah. So I've compiled a very mini list. Some of these are definitely probably more known than others.
Oh, I mean, some of mine, like, looking at... I mean, all of them are in series that you would know.
Sure.
For the most part. Like, these are, like, the... weird offshoots, or the game that no one played in the series.
So, all right, let's do this. What would you say? Everybody's got one in mind. What would you say is the one that everybody's probably heard of before? So, Anthony, what about you? What would you say is probably the most popular one that most people listening would have heard of?
So again, I used a lot of series people would know. So I guess the question is, are you thinking the one that everyone would know and like, or the one that everyone would know and hate?
Like. We'll go with that one first.
I think the one that everybody's going to know... maybe I'm not right with that one. Fuck, no, I'm not, because that game wasn't talked about like the other. Okay, I'm going to go with the one, I guess, that the other one that's not the one that people actually liked at all. Chibi Robo Ziplash.
I have never played a Chibi Robo game in my life.
Chibi Robo...
I've heard of them. I've never played it.
Is one of the most brilliant games I've ever played. And there's a reason why that disc costs a lot of money. I'll say this. Most games I do not complete in a weekend. I just don't. I think I can maybe count, like, the last one that maybe was Watch Dogs. That was like a full-size game, you know? Something that was actually substantial and not just like a good game, but it's pretty short. Or pretty short and hard, or whatever. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, this was like a substantial amount of time, because it's open world. There's a lot of stuff to do in it. But the idea is you are a 10-centimeter tall robot who helps out around the house. It's a full 3D environment. You are, very small. There's people around the house. They talk to you during the day. And at night, the toys come out to life. And there's a really good sort of science fiction story in there. That I cried at, I'll be honest. Like, I thought the ending is very good, but when you find out why certain things are the way they are, that is like a heart-wrenching moment. And there's a lot of eerie stuff in it, and I think it, like, because it was such a weird, different game, because you have to also, like, he runs on battery, so you have to keep taking your plug and plugging it into the wall. Like, there's a lot of, like, ritual in the stuff. It's basically kind of like what farming sims are, right? Where generally the ritual is that you do crops so you can get more of the story. Right. This is, you do chores, and slowly you start helping other people around the house, and the story moves along, and you get new items. Like, it's a Metroidvania in that way, too. Like, you need certain items to get into certain places of the house. So, you get enough happiness points, and eventually, he gets a little laser gun, and that's when you go into first person and you can shoot the little baddies that show up.
What system is this on?
GameCube. It's a Nintendo. It's like a Nintendo license.
And the one you're talking about specifically is GameCube?
Yes.
Okay.
So then they did a sequel, and the sequel was you are a small robot. It's on the DS. It was called Park Patrol, and you are a different one of a Chibi Robo. You're not the same character. He's a sellable robot. People buy him, and your task is to take care of a park. Now, part of the issue is it was like an exclusive to Walmart, which was like. This was a time when physical copies were the only way to buy games. So, like, big fuck up there. That or Target or Walmart, one of the two. I got my copy for $10 in the bargain bin at Walmart when the bargain bin was good and not just shovelware. And I didn't love it as much. It's got a very different vibe, but it's the same gameplay. Then there was a Japanese-only game. It's been translated. I now have it on my 3DS, but I do have the physical cartridge for that game. It's the same idea. It's a sequel to the first game. You are a Chibi Robo that is bought by the daughter in that game, who is a child, and now she is an adult. I have not played enough of it to tell you if it's good, but it does play the exact same as Park Patrol and the first game. Like, it is a great feeling game. Then there was there was Photo Finder, which you have to take photos with a 3DS camera of real life things that are the right shape, and then it goes into a museum, and there's a little bit of Chibi Robo gameplay in there. It's very odd. Most people don't like it. So everybody was kind of hoping, they'll do another Chibi Robo game. And they did on the 3DS. And it came with an amiibo for this obscure character, which I love, and I have two of. One in the box. Even though I kept the one that came with the game. But it's a side-scroller now. And it's not really Chibi Robo, even though there's still elements of that. You still clean up, you still charge in the walls and stuff, and it's a really good game. But if you're looking for a Chibi Robo game, it is bad. And I like the character enough where I'm willing to see him in other things, but it plays like a Kirby game. But Kirby games are good, so it is a good game. It is a unique sort of platformer because he has the grappling mechanic built into him with the plug. And so, there's some neat stuff in it, and everybody gave it, a lot of shit. Because on Metacritic, the Metascore is 59. And the user score is a 5.1. People do not like this game. I'm it's fine. It is not what you wanted, and that is fine. But I think people, the only other game I can think of that's like that is Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which is a good game, but it's not what people wanted, so people just kind of shit on it.
Man, that's a game that one day I want to be able to play. I swear, I have never gotten off I always load into it, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. And then you build, a cart or something on, the first level, and they're supposed to, drive it to collect something. I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to be able to do this. I've never gotten past that. But I feel like you and some other people have always said that game is actually really good.
Dude, the fan base for that game series is small. I was shocked that they did. I'm surprised they made Ziplash at all. So, I am not upset. Because that game has not sold well, ever. And, I bought that game because they pushed it in Nintendo Power, and I thought it was a brilliant idea. But I also like being small in, normal-size worlds.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, I recommend the first game. I recommend the two DS games. Do I recommend Ziplash? I mean, if you like Kirby games, it is fantastic. Again, it is not a Chibi Robo game. It just stars that character. It's kind of like if Mario suddenly didn't move like Mario, you'd be like, I suppose it's Mario. But it's not really a Mario game.
Do you think they'll ever explore that series again?
I mean, here's the thing. They've referenced him in Smash a couple times. So I'll never not have hope. But to me, guys, you pushed Pikmin. The problem is this is also not like a Nintendo first party, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, it is a second dev studio, where it's like, it is an exclusive and it is work for Nintendo, but it is not, and Nintendo owns the license, but they aren't the ones designing the game. It was Skip. And so, I don't know if they have the same passion for it, if that makes sense.
What's Skip done recently?
I don't know if Skip's done anything anymore. Like, I don't know if Skip is still... Nope, they're still around, so let me take a look here. The last thing they did was Ziplash.
Okay. Well,
before that, they did Chibi Robo Photo Finder. Yeah, and that was in 2015. They did We Play Motion was them. They did all the art style DSiWare games, which are really good. LOL, which was a DS game that I've heard good things about, and then they did all the Bit Generations, which was the precursor to art style on the GBA, and then they did Chibi Robo and Gift Pia, which is a Japanese only game. Like their thing is not long, and it's not like it's not like they're pushing themselves ever, you know, which is good. It's just like there's a lot of time in between, because like all the art style games are just small sort of experiences that are difficult and arcade like.
Gotcha. Okay.
I know that's a weird one because it feels like everything else is a little bit more agreeable, but I think that's the one that that people know about because it's such a deviation from what anybody was wanting.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard of it before, not just by you. So it's something I've seen before. I've never touched it. I've never paid really much attention to it.
Like, let me put it to you this way: outside of one game that is not part of like a big series, you will have probably engaged with content of that franchise before.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh, I know that character. I didn't necessarily know that game existed.
So, Terrence, what about you?
So I feel like a lot of mine are ones that people will know. But the first one, I guess I'm just gonna, I'll use this one. Is for me is Alpha Protocol.
Oh, that was on my list.
Was it? We had some crossover. That's what's up.
That's right. We did that on Phoenix Down.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Actually, yeah, I love Alpha Protocol.
I do too.
Like, just everything about it. I know at the time, they were like pushing the three Bs, which was like Jason Bourne, James Bond, and Jack Bauer. Which nowadays people are like, well, who the fuck is Jack Bauer? I love 24 too. Like, that's, oh my god, it's like my favorite show. But like the fact that they took like that action RPG mechanic and then entered or had that awesome spy story in there, like the different locations, and then you could focus your character, so you could be like super melee based, or you could like put your points in guns and stuff, and oh my god, I want a sequel so bad. And what's crazy is I think Obsidian at the time, I think they wanted to do a sequel, but I think it didn't make enough money, so it was Sega, I think, and they were like, nah, we're not gonna do a sequel. So maybe since Microsoft owns Obsidian, maybe they'll, we could see a re-release or something, because that there's potential. There's potential there.
Definitely. I absolutely adore Alpha Protocol, and that is definitely, I would say that's a 5 out of 10 game.
Yeah, because it probably has problems.
Dude, I was so stoked for that game, because they were like, "Oh, this is Mass Effect, but with spies." Yep. And I was like, "Okay, that sounds awesome." So I was totally on board. So it was weird because I had that game pre-ordered. This is back whenever I pre-ordered stuff at like my local GameStop, and I was so excited for that game. I pre-ordered it, and then all of a sudden it got delayed like a month before it was supposed to release, and I was like, "Uh-oh." And so I was like, all right. So I canceled my pre-order, and that was when I was still subscribing to GameFly. So I GameFlyed it.
Nice.
And I played probably 2 or 3 hours of this game. I said, this game is garbage. and sent it back. Now, and never looked at it again until Jay Lee. It was the first time he'd ever been on Phoenix Down. He suggested we do Alpha Protocol, and I was like, "Oh God, not this game! I've already played this. It's garbage." Well, I sat down and actually started playing it and trying and learning the mechanics. That is one of the best choice-based RPGs that's ever been made. I'm not even exaggerating. And we're playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now. Baldur's Gate 3 is superb. Alpha Protocol has more choices, more backgrounds, and more consequences to those choices than any game I've ever played.
Yeah.
There is literally parts of that game that you will miss based on choices that you make. Because me, Matt, and Jay were all doing the same playthrough. We chose different things, and I had a different boss fight than Matt did. Matt went to an area that I never even went to. It's wild.
Man, I want to replay that game.
It's so good. It is so good.
Now I have a question for you, Drew. What do you think the meta score is?
I think that meta score is probably 5.9.
63.
63. That's
Wow.
about right for most game reviewers.
User score is slightly higher, about 10 points higher, 7.3.
That's
I don't know
about
why
right.
they do points. I don't know why they do points
What the
for
heck?
the user score, and then it's like the meta score is out of 100. It's all out of 100, dummies.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Nice.
I think it's to lower the ranking of it all. They rank the full score on critic reviews, and then they give it a 7 point something. That would be the only thing I can think of. Okay, so what do you think ZTGD gave it?
Oh man,
Oh man.
I'd say probably a 6.
65.
65. Who reviewed that? I wonder.
Now I have to go to our actual website because unfortunately it can't load through.
I think it might have been either Ken or Justin that reviewed that game.
Why should it be me?
All right.
I don't think it was me.
Nope, it was Ken.
It was Ken. Yeah.
Next time he says he likes that game, you spit that score back in his face.
Dude, I will fully admit that game is a 6.5 or a 7 because
Oh yeah, for sure.
there's a problem with your game when your game's probably 12 hours long and it takes probably 5 hours to actually get used to the freaking game. Like,
I'm kidding, of course, but
I know,
that's what this show's about. But yeah,
I mean, there's definitely some faults with Alpha Protocol.
he references a spy and he references a spy movie and a ranking in his tagline. Would anyone like to guess what it is?
Oh Lord. I don't
It's
know.
a James Bond movie. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Oh, jeez. I don't know.
The Man with the Bronze Gun.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
That is good.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find any. This is the best review he's ever written. It's the longest review he's ever written.
There's a lot to say about that game.
I'm kidding. Alpha Protocol is not a terrible game by any stretch of the imagination. Instead, it is a collection of truly next-generation ideas wrapped in a last-generation package. It is hard to ignore all the faults and technical hiccups the game brings with it, even if the dialogue system is truly revolutionary. If you know what you're getting into before taking the plunge, the game definitely can satisfy your number-crunching RPG need. Everything is based on stats and dice rolls, and as mentioned, the branching story and interactive dialogue truly is amazing to see pan out. Alpha Protocol is a game with fantastic ideas that simply falls victim to staples of poor game design and shoddy production values.
Man, where's the lie, right?
No,
Like,
I mean, that sums it up. Yeah.
perfectly. Yep. Yeah. Because it has problems for sure, but
Oh, yeah.
man, that game is good. Like, God, if Oh, I hope they can. I hope they bring that series back.
Dude, they do something at the end of that game. It's so good. Oh God.
Have you never played it, Anthony? Have you never?
I have it, but I've never played it.
Oh, okay.
Man.
I need to. I need to.
You
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where I'm like, I'm not going to be spoiled because what is the likelihood of even landing on that sort of event? Right? Like my first time. Like, what are the chances I make all the same choices to see those same events pan out? I won't know how to do that unless I look it up.
That's true, and it depends on who you align with, because there's like 5 different factions that you can go with, and there's always the one betrayal at the end that it comes out of nowhere, and it's just like, oh crap, and it's always that one. So there is one that's always guaranteed.
Okay.
But it depends on how much you interact with that person. If you interact with them a lot, then it's a big betrayal. And if if you only did like 1 or 2 cutscenes with them, it's like whatever, who cares,
Right.
But man,
And I won't know
so
who that
good.
person is, so yeah.
Yeah,
That's the reason why I'm
so
like, I don't ever worry about hearing talk of that game, because I'm just like, it's kind of like The Witcher 2. I'm not worried about it, because if I play that game, what is the likelihood of me knowing that that's the payoff if you say something specific? Right?
yeah. All right. Well,
I have a lot, so we can keep going.
I mean, I do too. I'm looking at my list, just going by what I said was like what would be the most popular one that everybody would probably have heard of before. It's going to be between 2 of them. I'm just going to, because one of them I'm not going to talk about a lot. I'll just say these 2. Call of Juarez, the Gunslinger.
Yeah, I know you love that game.
That's a good game.
I love that game so much. And the coolest part about that game, it's a standard fine first person shooter that has
That's
like
all the Call of Juarez games, basically.
Yeah, it's fine. It has the bullet time slowdown where you can shoot guys and stuff like that. But the coolest part about that game was how it's told its story, because you're basically being narrated by an old gunslinger who is telling his remembering of what happened. And there are times where you will play through a scenario and then the game will pause and the gunslinger will be like, wait a minute, that's not what happened. And it will actually reverse time and you will redo it and different things will happen. So it's like you're playing through an old man's story and he's actually embellishing a lot and it's actually not true and you don't know what's true and what's not true. And that's what's so cool about the narrative of that game. And it's like, it was a download only title, I think, and I think
there has been a physical release since.
They may have been.
I think maybe it was like maybe a limited run or something. I think so.
Yeah, but that one is, I love that game. It's actually really really fun. And then the other one, which I think a lot of people have played, but a lot of people have forgotten about, is Enslaved: Journey to the West.
Oh,
I haven't played it still.
Oh, it's
really?
so good.
I know.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
a good game.
It's one again a game I have. Trust me.
Yeah,
it piques my interest enough, but it just.
That's the one.
It's the reason why I'll never upgrade, and that's the one that's a retelling of Journey to the West, but it's Andy Serkis.
Yeah, Andy
Yes.
Serkis, right? That's
Yes.
Okay. Yep. I did play that one. Yeah,
And
that's
it's
really good.
futuristic. It's like a post-apocalyptic, but it's like a lot of future technology. It was a budget Ninja Theory game.
I mean, all of Ninja Theory's games were kind of budget, except for the Blade one.
Yeah, but it was also like 4 hours long. And Heavenly Sword. Yeah.
That's the one. Let me see here. I can't remember everything they've done, but
Enslaved, the thing that always gets me about their games, the facial animations look as good as they do now.
I mean,
It's
that's
so
because
good.
they were working. Well,
Weren't they
not in
using
that
his
game.
Studio?
Yeah, they were using his
Back
studio.
then? Yeah. Because
Yeah.
right, like it's really
Because he was
good.
like he trains people to mocap act.
That game is really good. It's actually really fun, and the DLC adds a lot to that game too.
I did not play the DLC. I did finish the base game, but I didn't play the DLC.
Yeah.
I may have to go. I don't think I own that on anything.
Man,
Do they sell that digitally anymore?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know if it made the jump to Xbox One.
I think it might be on
Backwards
Xbox
compatible.
because they own Ninja Theory, right? Maybe.
Oh, that's
I
right.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do own them now.
I don't know. It's a Namco game though. I don't know. Anyways, I feel like they'd make that work. Man, that was their third game.
Wow,
That was
really?
that was a great game.
Dude, it goes. They made a game. I've never heard of this game. It was for Xbox. Kung Fu Chaos.
Oh, I played that. It was like Smash Brothers. It was like
Oh yeah. But it was like an angled down. Yeah. It
Yeah.
looks like
Power
it was a
Stone.
Power
Power
Stone,
Stone.
yeah.
Thank you, God.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of that. Yeah, it was like a Power Stone game.
Okay, that's so weird. And then they did
I didn't
Heavenly
realize it
Sword
was them.
next.
That's crazy.
How the hell do you jump from Kung Fu Chaos to Heavenly Sword? And then they did
Wow.
Enslaved. Then they did DMC. And man, from there it's like, oh man. They did Fight Back on iOS. Don't know that. They did Disney Infinity, the Marvel one, which makes sense.
Oh yeah.
DMC Definitive Edition. They worked on Disney Infinity 3.0. Dext, I don't know that game. And then they did Hellblade and started getting more recognition. And then they did some VR stuff. And then
Well.
they did fucking Bleeding Edge.
I'll say this, and I don't care what anybody says.
DMC's great.
DMC is probably the best Devil May Cry game.
No.
Really?
No, I'm gonna fight you on that. I'm gonna say if we're talking about the flashy style that was brought in like by 3, like in game 3, like the real over the top stuff, DMC 5 blows DMC out of the water, but DMC is second. Like that's how
DMC
good.
is-
Dude, DMC 5 is so fucking insane. It's like people
it
that
is.
were upset with DMC that loved DMC 5. I'm like, oh, you just didn't like it because it wasn't Japanese.
Exactly.
Because this game is exactly what DMC is what DMC 5 is built on. It is not built on 3. 3 still felt like I was moving the character around inside the
Inside of a Resident Evil game, because that's what it was.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm okay with that in DMC 1. Like, that game feels like the ultimate power fantasy. Like, you put in cheat codes in Resident Evil, and you get to play as Dante,
Yeah.
basically. And then 2 is a mess. And then 3 was like, we're going to be cool and flashy. And it's like, okay.
And also difficult as shit.
Well, they had to re-release it.
God, 3 was hard.
But, yeah, what is it? Dante's Special Edition or Special Dante Edition, which was now we've fixed the game so it's not impossible. But I never loved that game as much as 1,
DMC.
and I really liked DMC. Like DMC, the Definitive Edition or whatever on PS4, chef kiss.
It's
Perfect.
amazing. It's
I have
amazing.
it on Xbox. I'm gonna replay it.
I mean
Like,
that mode
thing...
probably.
Go
That
ahead.
mode, you probably get a boost, I guess, on Xbox.
Series X, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't think about that. Sweet.
Yeah.
Actually.
I know that's got a frame rate boost, and that the
but
frame
the
rate.
DMC
Oh, so
Definitive Edition adds like the DLC, and it's a much nicer looking game. Ultimately, at the end of the day,
good. Yep.
but man, like there's a couple boss fights in that game where like I remember it because of how disturbing they are.
Yeah. And it was so cool. You remember like the media guy?
That's what I was gonna say.
I don't think I
That
got
might
to that
be
one.
the most unique boss fight I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. And
There's so
and it's like,
many
but
cool
it's
things in
it's
that
just,
game.
It's just fight off my mob enemies, and then when you're done fighting the mob, come back. But because they present it in another way, it actually feels like substantial. Oh man! And then like
I'm
the
gonna reinstall it.
what
I'm gonna play it.
the wife character who's pregnant. That boss fight is fucked.
Messed up.
But my favorite is still like in just the sheer stupidity like of it is the I'm just gonna say Slurm.
Yeah, that's the one I can remember. I was sitting here like, damn, the only boss fight I can remember is
People
like
are
the
like-
Slurm thing.
People
Like, that
people
shit-
are like And people are like, "Look at it! It's not taking this seriously, as if Devil May Cry was ever serious."
Right.
Right.
Literally, he gets stabbed in the chest with a sword in the first game, and gets he gets taunted with, "Didn't your daddy ever tell you teach you how to play with swords or whatever?" And she throws the motorcycle at him, and his eyes open up, and he goes something like "Nope," and he starts shooting the fucking motorcycle to the point where he's shooting it so fast the motorcycle then flips the other way and falls towards her. Serious, guys. So, like, DMC knocks that up another level where, him and that slurm creature telling each other to fuck off.
Yeah, they tell
fuck
each other.
you!
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yep.
Also
I'm
led to one of my
gonna-
favorite videos on the internet, which is the mariachi version, where someone has modded in a large mustache on Dante.
Wow.
And it plays mariachi music, so it's like showdown music as he walks into the boss fight, and all of it's dubbed in Spanish.
So I think my issue with that game was just the Dante character, because I love main line.
Oh,
Dante.
yeah.
Like I love the story. Like that's
This
my dude.
is
And I
this
think
was
what
originally supposed to be a prequel.
I, can
I
see
figured.
that.
I thought it was gonna be like a soft reboot.
Yeah, that's
thought
what
it
I
was.
mean.
Yeah, like a soft reboot kind of thing. And he just, I don't know, like he just was. It was like he was trying too hard or something. Like somebody, like saying when they were doing the "fuck you" thing with that boss fight. There was some stuff that was funny, but then like some of his lines was like, "Damn, like you really trying to be cool." And like other Dante, it just was like
Can I?
effortless.
I'm gonna
I don't know.
I'm gonna spoil something a bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's
man.
that's the character arc.
Oh, okay.
He has to. Yeah, like you see. That's the other thing too. Yeah, they become a. He becomes a better character at the
So
end.
it's like,
you start to realize he's the good guy,
Yeah.
and he
Gotcha.
starts to realize he's the good guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's a really
okay.
good
Okay.
twist too. Like I liked how that story was. The biggest issue I had was that everything, the whole world was over designed, which they did in DMC 4 as well. Like
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 4 had that way too over designed. Like now you're just bringing me out of the real world, which is fine. They've made it clear that they don't want to pretend this is happening in the real world. But you know, I just don't like the look of the city in DMC. It makes sense when everything's all funky, weird, but like sometimes, like
did
even
like
when it's
that
normal, I'm
aspect,
just like,
yeah.
eh.
I got
But
you.
man, oh, I love that game. And
I'm
then
gonna-
the
I'm
DLC is
gonna
really good too.
reinstall it. Yeah, I'm gonna reinstall it and play it.
Yeah.
Because I did not realize that. Because that is, I think that's what turned me off. Is like I was like, man, this dude's character is just grating on my nerves, and I couldn't do it.
The twist.
But okay,
Also, I'm just gonna sell you a little bit more too.
yeah, go ahead.
I mean,
You
the
know how
game
they
is old.
do devil triggers?
Yeah, well, I don't care about spoilers. No way. Yeah.
No. This is not a spoiler. You know how when like Saiyans fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, two devil triggers fight.
Oh shoot!
So
Oh,
two
okay.
people
You
with
never
devil
beat this
trigger
game?
powers.
No,
Sorry?
no, I never beat it. No, I
man.
like I said, I remember the boss fight with the slurm, and I remember, I don't remember. I think it was like a puzzle part where I was like jumping through something.
Yeah, you have to move
Let's
across
see.
platforms as she shoots them out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I remember I beat that boss, but then shortly after that, I had put the game down. But I do have.
That's the
I
worst
have it
boss
on
in the game.
Xbox. Wow,
It's the
damn,
funniest
okay.
boss in the game, but it's the
Yeah, I
worst
did
boss
laugh.
in the game.
Yeah, I did laugh. Okay,
If you never made it to the news anchor guy, that's the best boss
no,
fight.
never made it.
Yeah, you'll see him throughout the game, and then you fight him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I've
the-
seen
I
the
actu-
cutscenes and stuff.
The
but
stage
yeah.
and the stage that takes place on when you're climbing up the tower was really good.
Okay, I'm gonna reinstall it.
There you go.
That's a game though that I feel like a lot of people have at least changed their mind on. I never had a negative opinion because I didn't play it.
I adored that game. I bought it day one, and I thought that this is fantastic. Especially after the wet fart that Devil May Cry 4 was for me.
Again, I did not like that over-designed world.
I
And,
liked 4, but I feel you. Like
Yeah.
4 wasn't what I
4
wanted,
was
for sure.
4 was fine. I
4
mean,
was
yeah,
where
it
they
was
changed
fine.
their
Yeah.
changed to being like it's kind of like how when you watch Pitch Black is a really good science fiction movie, and the Chronicles of Riddick changes the context. Like, you're like, Pitch Black is still a really good solo movie.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a bunch of extra shit that's going on that really just you should have not brought up, because now it's made this story and this world too complex. I kind of just liked it being, behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Four is just fine. But yeah, I totally feel you, Drew. I get it.
All right, Anthony, what you got?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about one that is the only one that's not on a list, right? Like, no, wow. Okay. All right. Okay.
It's
pause.
Okay, it's okay. It's all right. Take two.
These games are allowed to move into your neighborhood and don't have to inform you. Okay. Again, I know I've talked about Again. Again has a rough user or a Metacritic score. The user score is much more kind, and I think part of it is there's a lot of love for this company. The problem is that this company got screwed by Nintendo.
Okay.
The company is Sing, C-I-N-G. Their first game is a point-and-click adventure that was only released in Europe and Japan called Glass Rose. It's done with like live action cutscenes and stuff. It's what they did, essentially, from there on out. Like, they've only ever made like point-and-click games except for one. Two on their list. One of them's a work for hire. You might know them as the people that did Trace Memory. No? Hotel Dusk.
Okay, I know Hotel Dusk, yes.
Okay. So, when the DS kind of launched, they released another code, Two Memories. For some goddamn reason, they called it Trace Memory in North America. It was one of the first DS games I bought. I love that game. It took me years later, but I just didn't feel like playing text adventures type stuff or point-and-click adventure stuff at one point, so I did not buy Hotel Dusk on the DS. It was part of the new Touch Generation line. I felt like that was a bad idea, because I think a lot of people saw that and went, this is for casual people, not for people that play video games. Hotel Dusk is a game for people that play video games, too. They did Monster Rancher DS. Fine. It's a Tecmo game. Tecmo would just be paying them to be the developers. Then they did another Code R, Journey into Lost Memories. Nintendo said, we'll translate that and only release it in Europe. They called the first game Trace Memory, which already was a bad idea, and then the sequel doesn't get released over here in any form.
Okay.
This will not be the last time Nintendo does this to this company. But another Code and another Code R are being re-released next year. This company no longer exists because Nintendo fucking just didn't sell their games in all their markets. Then they did Little King's Story, which was Marvelous Entertainment. I don't have an opinion on that game because it didn't look interesting to me. However, the game I'm going to talk about was their second to last game. Their last game is more well known because it's the sequel to Hotel Dusk. That was never released in North America. They only released it. They translated it in English again, and they only released it in Europe. Around this time, when Reggie was fucking president, we didn't get a ton of shit. I do not know to this day why you wouldn't. You already have it translated. Just print lesser copies. You put in all this work, just fucking sell it in all places you can possibly fucking sell it. However, they were not the publisher of their second to last game, thank God. Tecmo was. And the second to last game is called Again. 2009. You hold the DS on its side like you did with their other fucking games. However, it's a detective story, and instead of having the characters drawn, which is how another Code and Hotel Dusk look, they have a similar art style. This is all photo images of people that have been kind of stylized, and it works really well. The idea is that the main gimmick, it's a point-and-click adventure, but the main gimmick is that when the main character touches this, he has like a cutout from a dollar bill of the Eye of Providence. When he touches it, one of his eyes sees into the past while the other sees the present. And you search for clues using both time frames. And that's how you solve mysteries.
Okay.
And because they're holding the DS on its side, right? It's like you're looking at the room with two eyes. It was really well done. It had a really interesting story. It does kind of... It's pretty much... all the questions are answered in this game, but it does leave room for a sequel that just doesn't exist because the company went out. It's such a... Like, here's the user score is 7. Because I feel like a lot of people like myself are like, I wish things still existed. And it's a good game still at the end of the day. Is it their best? No. Hotel Dusk blows fucking again out of the water. But it is a unique game that does not have a sequel, and it still plays really great. The Metascore on it is 52. Like, this game was sent out to die.
Man.
It's also got a plain name and a plain cover. It's like... it's one of those, like, man, I feel so bad for, like, the shit hand this fucking company was dealt.
Yeah, I looked it up, and I see the cover. It's just a girl, like she photoshopped onto a background.
No.
Is this not the one? Was it a different one?
Yeah, I know, you're right. It's the close-up of the eye, and then it just says again, and it's a yellow package.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, right? Like, what does that say? Especially in the age when, like, DS was just shovelware central.
Right.
There was you reminded me of something, so this is the organicness of this episode. You reminded me of a game I played on the DS called Time Hollow. Have you heard of this game?
That is a very expensive game I bought for $10.
That feels a lot like that. It's so Time Hollow starts off almost kind of cutesy, very slice of life anime where this kid has a pen that he can draw a circle in space, and he can go back in time with that circle and like move stuff and change time. But about halfway through that game gets dark as shit.
I thought this game got better reviews.
Yeah, and you start like blinking people out of existence because you changed the past and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy.
A Konami secret, because normally you always hear a little bit from Konami series. Like, it's not like it's a no-name publisher on the DS.
Yeah. The
Metascore is 64. And the user score is only 6.8. But everybody that's played this game I've ever talked to has told me to play it, even though I have it, and I haven't.
It's good. Played a long time ago. Haven't really delved deep into other games in that style.
Oh man, I can give you lists. What's something on your list, Terrence?
So, man, like, I swear, like, again, my stuff is, like, all stuff that I feel like, people have heard of. But another one that's on mine that I liked is, it's called The Saboteur. And it came out...
Saboteur.
Came out, in, I think, 2009. And it was set in World War II in Paris, and you were part of the resistance, and it was very, very stylized. So like the parts of the city that were under like German occupation, like had like a reddish, like black and white kind of tint.
Yeah,
and
everything was black and white.
Or that's what it was. Yeah, everything was black.
No, there's
and white.
red in it too, because the Nazi stuff lit up red.
Yeah, there's red in it.
But it was black and and then once you freed the area, like color like returned to the area, like once you like freed the thing. So it I don't know, it was super cool. But it came out in the same time around like Assassin's Creed and stuff. So it was kind of like that. Like it was open world, Grand Theft Auto ish. You could drive cars, from mission to mission. Third person shooter. It had a really cool story, but the thing I just remember most about it was just how stylized it was. Oh yeah, and it came with like DLC, I think, for like a burlesque thing or something,
Yeah,
like
I
the
was about
midnight
to
show
say
or whatever.
if
Yeah.
you bought, because around the time they were doing the Game Passes or whatever, this
Yep.
online pass.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, they would
It
so
was
because
EA.
this was
It
a
was EA.
single player, yeah, because it was single player, they couldn't do that. So they were like, all the people were closed unless you buy the game new.
Yep. Yep. You get the little midnight show code thing.
I thought this
that
got better reviews because everybody was sad because it was Pandemic's last game, but no, it got a 73. Now the user score is 8
Yeah.
because the
user
game's
score is higher.
good,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
73, that seems low.
I know it was. I probably would have given this game an 8 had I reviewed it like the user scores are. I loved the Saboteur, and it's another one of those games that never made the jump to being backwards compatible. So it's just unless you have a 360 or means of playing that older stuff, you can't even experience it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of
The,
pandemic stuff. They were a
I
good
remember
studio.
that. I played that game.
What do you think the reviewer on ZTGD gave it?
Oh Lord, I don't know.
A 7.
A 7. A 7.
7.5.
Yep.
75 technically, but yeah.
Nice.
Let me see. Written by Ken. Ken coming in with good decision making again.
He'll be glad to hear that. Like, oh, good.
In the end, the Saboteur falls victim to several things that keep it from being a great game. Mostly is due to timing. The game is launching right after the holiday rush has died down and people are still trying to catch up on the massive library just released. It also suffers from not feeling it was completely ready to be on store shelves. Still, I cannot help but find enjoyment in the creative setting, excellent visual style, and intriguing story. Even with all its problems, The Saboteur is one enjoyable trip down the overplayed setting of World War II. If you love open-world games and are willing to be patient with its shortcomings, there's a lot to love about this title.
Yeah, that was the thing about the Saboteur that kind of made it stand out, because back then there was a sea of World War II shooters were going on.
Yep.
And this was like more of a World War II spy thriller.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed. You still could shoot guns, of course, and stuff like that. But
I mean, I'm
almost...
not surprised. The pandemic, it was mercenaries, essentially.
Yeah.
You're just playing
Yeah.
the mercenaries, but in World War II.
Yeah.
And I
games-
loved Mercenaries.
Games plus killing Nazis, immediately better.
There you go. I really enjoyed that game. I had forgotten about that game, so there you go. Good job on bringing that up.
I
Yay.
will say this: fuck Ken and his horrible, horrible tagline. A gem hidden under the rough exterior.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Maybe I'm not remembering the whole story.
I don't know.
Is that a big part about gems in it?
I don't
does it-
think so.
It feels like
no.
find me generic tagline based purely on quality of game.
I,
I'm
sometimes,
saying Ken is better than this, but it was also 2011, so
right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just talk about... I mentioned it last week whenever we were talking about this stuff. I didn't go into detail. I'll go into a little further detail. I don't know if anybody's ever played this game. Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom.
I think I said last week I had not played it, but I own it.
That
I might even have owned it
sounds
twice.
Familiar. Hang on.
Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom feels like almost like a Disney movie. It's got a lot of charm to it. You play as this guy who meets this giant golem, and you don't control the golem, but you can give it orders, and it follows you around. It's like a gentle giant, but it helps protect you, kind of thing. And it's kind of like an action RPG, not really RPG. I think there is some RPG elements to it. It's been a long time since I played it. I remember the soundtrack being amazing, and it just had a lot of charm to it. There's some puzzle solving in there because you have to order the the big guy to go stand over here and do this while you go do something else, and then he helps out in combat and stuff like that too. So that's actually a really good hidden gem that I don't think a lot of people played. It came out. I think it was a budget title too. I think it was only like $39.99 back in the day. I can't even remember who made it.
Game Republic was the developer. It was published by Namco. I remember this.
I remember it being
play it.
Namco, but was it the same people that did Folklore, or was it the same artist? I thought there was
yes,
some relation there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the same people that did Folklore.
There you go. There's another one. Folklore. We redid that for Phoenix Down. I paid a lot of money for that fucking copy.
I paid $14 for mine back in the day.
Oh my god, it's expensive now. I bet it's worth even more now.
Oh my god! Now hold on. Now I have to look this up. Give me a minute.
I remember playing that Folklore. That was a good game.
Folklore was really cool.
Majin the Forsaken Kingdom is a lot like that Song of Nunu, that League of Legends game that I played. Cause like the giant like Nunu, you don't really control. Like you can ride him, like, and then you like control him, but he more or less acts as his own. And you direct him for puzzles and stuff like that.
Right.
But that game didn't come out on Xbox for whatever reason. It's only on PC and Switch. But
yeah, that's one on my list.
Nice. Did you find it, Anthony, or whatever you were looking up? Oh, okay, he gone.
We lost him.
No, you didn't. I just didn't want to type and have that all recording. So
oh, that makes sense.
Majin in the Forsaken Kingdom, dirt cheap on Xbox. A loose copy, a complete in box copy costs you $14.
Is it backwards compatible though?
I don't believe so, but I'm just saying.
Man.
Because I say that because the PS3 copy is $40 complete in box.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Don't know why, but okay. Same with PS3 in Europe. Oh my god, it's $40 for a complete in box. Oh no, those are low. That's not even a complete in box price. Sorry. Okay, a complete price is $40 for Folklore.
Yeah.
I paid $15 for that. What the fuck happened?
It got expensive.
All right.
It's a hard to find PlayStation 3 only game.
And disc only, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, what you got, Anthony?
All right, I'm going to do one that I actually reviewed so I can give you the ZTGD score. It is a series I do not have any fondness for. I mean, I appreciate that the first 3D game had a team behind it. They were trying to revolutionize video games, but, like, their game sucks. It's Bubsy. Specifically, Bubsy Paws on Fire. I gave it an 8, and I think everybody else was a little too mean to it. I think it's because it's Bubsy, and it's not even Bubsy in the normal way. Bubsy Paws on Fire is Choice Provisions, so it's the people that do Runner, or Bit Trip Runner, as it was originally called.
Yeah, okay.
This is just a Runner game, reskinned with Bubsy. So, it's as good as... it's not as good. It's a little lesser than the Runner games, but it does some new stuff in it, and it is a Runner game at the end of the day, which are, like, the best versions of those. And what's most impressive is that they have... he made Metroid Metal. Stemage, I believe is how you pronounce his name. If you've ever listened to Metroid Metal, that's the guy who did it. He did the soundtrack in this, and it's really good. So, to me, it's like... I don't know. Let me put it to you this way. I gave it an 8. The user score is 7.4. The critic score is 63. But I knew who was making the game, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be a Runner game. So I went in expecting a Runner game, and I got a Runner game. I don't necessarily like the redesign that they did for Bubsy, because it was weird and unnecessary, but at the same time, it does feel more like the art style they use in Runner. So I'm not totally against it. And it had some decent writing. Which is not a thing you can say about most Bubsy games.
Well, there you go. I never thought that there would be a PUBG game on this list.
I
Right.
will say this: do not pay full price for it, because if you're gonna pay full price for it, like only pay full price for it if the only thing you play is Runner. But like it'll go on sale, and if it goes on sale and the Runner games go on sale and you haven't played the Runner games, play those first. This is literally like if you can't get enough, here's more. Here's Bubsy.
I play a lot of Bit Trip games.
Yeah, but most of them are Runners now.
Yeah.
They have remade Runner multiple times.
Okay. Terrence, you're up.
This one is relatively newer. But it's the Mad Max game that came out on it might have been Xbox One and stuff. It's been relatively recent, but like nobody really talks about it. And
I talk about that game. That game kicks ass.
oh, do you really? Oh, I didn't know you
Dude,
ever
I
played it.
fucking love that game. Made
Yeah.
by Avalanche. It's
Yep.
it's the best game they've made since Just Cause 2.
Yep. I definitely agree. Definitely agree because the other Just Causes like fell off. But yeah, Mad Max is dope.
Oh my god, I thought the score was higher on this. Oh, okay. Thank God the users came through on this one. Meta score of 69. User score of 7.9.
Nice.
And look at us. Hey, guess what? ZTGD 90.
Nice. Wow.
Who gave that?
Finding out. Oh, who wrote this?
I really don't think it wasn't me. No,
Justin.
I wasn't doing reviews. Nice. Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah, this game was dope. The car combat, like upgrading the car, just the wasteland itself.
The
like,
story. The story
yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Not the main story, but like all the. Yeah, the wasteland, like you said, like all that little. My favorite part is picking up the pictures. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he'll comment on them.
Yep. And I always look at the back to see messages and stuff. And
there's one of them where it's a girl and her dog or whatever, and he flips it over and somebody wrote something about the dog, and he's like, they didn't used to eat them then, and that stuck with me because it's such a good. Just like he is totally unnecessary. The line just is there, and it does more world building than like most of the attempts to tell me who's controlling what part of the wasteland. Mm-hmm. Like it tells me how desperate people got. I mean, obviously that game starts with like Chum Bucket or whatever his name is to trying to eat the dog.
Yes. Yeah.
But you know, but he's also a monstrous-looking guy, so we don't think about that. But he just says like they eat dogs. I'm like, wow, everybody eats dogs. It's just a thing we had to do. I don't know. There's yeah, I love that game. I've bought that game multiple times. I bought 2 copies of that game. I bought it. My dad picked it up he took my new copy and put it in and took the code that came with it. So I'm just like, fuck it. I guess I'll go get another copy with the code.
Right.
And then I traded away that copy with a bunch of other games at one point because I was just like, I'll use my dad's copy. And then it was on sale for like $10 on PSN. I was like, I'll just have this on my hard drive all the time.
Yeah, man, that game, I have it on Xbox. That game was the only issue. Well, it had some technical issues, but the biggest thing that really took getting used to was the controls. Because like the melee combat and like where the shotgun and stuff was like weird. Like, because I would like be fighting and then press, I don't remember, like press thinking about the dodge, and I think it was B that was like the shotgun. To fire the gun, and I was like, oh my god. And there was no way to remap the controls. But once you got used to that, a different way that they had stuff set up, like, man, that game was dope. Like, upgrading the car, like, putting the spikes on it so you can ram the other cars off the thing. Like, I literally would just drive around the wasteland looking for people to fuck up in the car, man. Like, the car combat was so much fun. Like, that game was so good.
The sequence where you are chasing down the tankers, or the bigger trucks or whatever, and you're just like, yeah, and they're like, there's all the little minion cars, so you're just picking them off one by one. Oh, this is every Mad Max movie. It makes me feel like I'm the character. And then, like, when you get upgraded, you go talk to, like, the shaman that's just sitting on top of
Yep.
a rock, and then he disappears after blowing stuff in your face. I'm like, this is the shit. This is like like. Okay, here's the thing. I can still watch Mad Max movies and not feel bad about that Mel Gibson is in them. Not that I really do, like, you know what I mean. But,
I know
like,
what you mean.
I don't have to
Yeah.
feel like a sense of guilt, because to me, like, Mad Max is not Mel Gibson. Mad Max is a legend in the desert. So anytime that legend is told by someone else, like, you know, Zelda, of course that main character is going to change, because he's a legend. He's a fictional character in this wasteland, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
He's a myth.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. I love that game. Like, in
that game doesn't get enough credit. You're goddamn right.
No, it
And
doesn't.
I thought
really
thought
good.
its scores were higher. I'm kind of surprised we, like, had such a low score for it.
Yeah, Mad Max.
I've
my
never
God.
played it.
Oh, Drew, if you
It's on sale
Batman
a lot.
Arkham, yeah,
Yeah.
that too. Batman Arkham combat. Then you get in a car, and the car has combat, and it's like
Yep.
amazing combat, like pulling tires off of other guys' cars with a harpoon.
Yes. Oh, slows down time when you roll
Time.
up next to them, so you can aim the shotgun at their gas thing in the back and blow up their car. And this awesome
Yeah.
explosion as you drive
The-
off. Oh my god, that game is so good.
You get a sniper rifle at one point, but the sniper rifle is
yep.
so large that it sits. You can only use it by going to the back of your car and then
Yeah, you gotta
using
stop the
sniper
car
rifle.
and switch
Yeah.
spots with the other guy with Chum Bucket to get out the snipe. Like it. Oh man,
That's
yeah.
right, because you can slowly move. He'll only slowly move the car.
Yep, you can
Oh, my
slowly
God.
drive it. Yep, yeah. If you can catch it on sale, man, check it out. Mad Max is pretty good. It is pretty good.
I'll keep that in mind.
Oh man, that's I you know what the sad part is like, yeah, I kind of wish I'd put that on my list.
That's okay.
That's all right.
I've got one that I don't think anybody has ever heard of. I actually reviewed this game way back in the day. It's called Richard.
Yep, never heard of it.
I-
You got me.
I was prepping myself. I'm like, pff, he's gonna say, "Oh, you've never heard of this one?
You've
I'm
never
like,
heard of
uh-huh.
Overwatch before?
Yeah.
Right.
How do you spell that?
Rochard.
Oh, I do recognize this. I know of this game. I've never played it. I've never watched footage of it. I have seen that title.
So
I recognize the
this is-
character.
This is a puzzle platformer with physics-based stuff. Where
That
you
tells
play,
me what era it's from immediately.
Mm-hmm.
PS3, Xbox 360, everybody.
Yep. And you play as John Richard, who is voiced by John St. John. Yep. And it is basically a Metroidvania kind of game where you have to solve puzzles, and you're like a space miner, and it's really freaking good.
Drew,
Yeah.
I want to let you know. So this is. I'm looking at the images, okay, and I'm going to tell you the sources of them because Wikipedia, Steam, Poets of the Fall, Wiki. I guess I did music for it.
They
Spotify.
did the theme song.
Okay. Spotify link, of course. YouTube link. More Steam. IGN. Steam again. Ars Technica. Raw Paper Shotgun. And the 11th entry, ZTGD Rochard review.
There you go. What did I give it? I can't remember.
That might not... I might have to do some typing and not just clicking, because it might be a broken review. It is a broken review.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The PC gets its taste of Space Miner.
So
Really,
I
Drew?
just read apparently February 17th of 2021, the people who made it said, "Game over. Dear Rashad customers, Recoil Games has applied for bankruptcy.
Oh.
Dang.
This
Wow.
means Rashard can no longer be purchased on Steam. However, the game will remain available in your Steam libraries."
Okay,
So this is a lost game, my friends.
Okay. Metascore for the PS3 copy, which I think includes both. Actually, I don't know how this works. 79 from critics and an 8.7 from users. Now, I go to latest user reviews, and it's all spam. Because people didn't like that it was rated above Portal in a list in 2021, I guess. Because that's what people seem to be complaining about.
Are you serious?
So, there's 4.0 reviews. I'm going to take a wild guess and say I don't give a shit about these people's opinions. Not to be rude to most people that have opinions, but these people, they're special. Detonator Blyat just says trash, and then I'm assuming they swore a bunch. PU55Y Liquor, because I'm not saying that.
Gotcha.
Mediocre thrash metal that doesn't deserve high ratings. I don't know how such a large number of players, in principle, can like such a talentless, negligent project.
Thrash metal?
This one's in Spanish. And then, why exactly is this above Portal 2? You guys are joking to play a very boring game. From Vicky Setya. So, like... and then right after those 4 losers is a 5, which is fine. I'm not going to fight that one too much. But then it goes to like 9s and 10s and 8s. Like, what a weird... Whatever. It's such a weird thing. 86% of people give this a positive score.
Yeah. Richard is actually a really good video game. And unfortunately, I would suggest it to you, but you can't purchase it anywhere anymore. So... I'm sure there's probably a torrent somewhere out there that you could probably download, but yeah, that was on my list.
I have a couple that I'll click through pretty quick because there's not much to necessarily say about them. Dragon's Dawn of New Riders, which is based off of the How to Train Your Dragon series. I guess they just eventually called it Dragons, DreamWorks Dragons. Not because I don't think it has much to do with the books anymore anyways. It has a 4.9 user score and a 57 meta score.
Damn.
But it's like bargain Zelda. And it's not bad. Like, the puzzles aren't bad, the combat's not bad, it's budget Zelda. And then when you switch, like, instead of having, like, kind of an open world, you have your, like, sort of pre-dungeon and then the dungeon. And then there's, like, a world that you are riding on the back of your dragon and flying between islands. And you play as your dragon and the main character in tandem, sort of. And then most of the time the dragon will just follow you, but you can tell them to kind of go places. And then, you know, you can solve puzzles that way. It's pretty neat. I wouldn't pay, like... I paid, I think, $15 on PSN, and then I found a physical copy on Switch, because I was just like, you know, I like it. It's, you know, nothing special, but it's fun. For like $20. So, you know, again, not something big. There's not much to say about it. It's a Zelda clone. You know, if I say budget Zelda, know that it's a budget game. But for a budget game, I think it's pretty good. Like, I've seen the other Dragons game that came out on Switch. This is a lot better than that, and I've only watched video footage, and I'm like, whatever's happening there is not as cool. I like that one. There's not much to say about the next one, but this is at least from a series you might know. It is... Oh, by the way, the Dragon's Dawn of New Riders was made by Climax Studios. I know I've looked into their history before, I just don't remember what they've done. Pitfall, The Lost Expedition. For both Game Boy Advance and console. Now, the console version's a lot better because it's a... I hate this term, I really do. But Metroidvania. But it's a 3D one of those. And it's done well, which is like... I think people know about Whiplash because Whiplash is a game that was kind of notorious because you are a weasel that is strapped to a rabbit that talks, and you use the rabbit as a mace. So
that was so funny.
But in that same sort of vein, where it's like a 3D platformer, but it's a Metroidvania, Pitfall does it a lot better. You don't get lost in Pitfall. And like it's things like you get an ice pick, And then you get 2 ice picks, and the 2 ice picks allow you to climb, I believe. I believe that's it. Maybe that's a Tomb Raider game. But you get ice picks, and you have to use those to scale walls, because you can't scale walls until later. In fact, now that I say it, it's a lot like the new Tomb Raider games, where you kind of go into like these sort of like loop areas that come back around to like a main hub. And it's funny. It's basically like Indiana Jones, but the main character is more smug. And, you know, there's the actual pit monsters from Pitfall, and there's this really weird mechanic where the other analog stick controls his hand. So you can grab and throw stuff, and it's very odd, and it's not perfect, but that game is got a lot of charm for something that should have been bad. Like, by all means, that should not have been a good game. So that's the console version. The console version has a Metascore of 73 and a user score of 7. I love the console version so much that I need the Game Boy Advance version too. And the Game Boy Advance version is not the best platformer ever, but it's got a really neat sort of style to its pixel art. Like, it's all very stylized. It's sort of a retelling of the story from the main game, but in a different way. When you're playing it side scrolling, I'd say like the animation's really good. Then you'll do 2 side scrolling levels and a boss, and then a mini game, and you go through like 4 different areas. It's short, but I loved it. Like, I thought it was like, oh, this is a pretty good one of these, which there was a ton of on the Game Boy Advance, but a lot of them are bad. Please see Crash Orange and Spyro Orange and Crash Purple. Those games are terrible, and I know they're mini game collections, but they're shit. I love the Pitfall Lost Expedition, and then they never followed up on it, and then they reissued it on the Wii for some goddamn reason with a terrible, terrible cover. The first, like the original cover shows you exactly what the game looks like. The second cover has like Fisher Price ass art on the cover, and I'm like, what are you doing? But, oh god, I'm remembering the cover.
Fisher
Oh
Price
my god,
art is crazy,
dude. Look. Okay, I know they're trying to like make it look like a Mii, I guess, but you don't play as a Mii in this game, so I don't know why that's. But like, I'm not wrong. That's
yeah. That's
not
Fisher Price. That's cover.
Like, I can tell that they're trying to make it look like me, right? Like, they're trying to make, but it's not a 3D drawing, so it just kind of looks like shit. And then for just the understanding of what the game actually kind of looks like, that's the original cover. And that's what he looks like in the game.
Cover. Yeah, I remember. And I think I played this, but
it's not like, look, if you try to go back, you're gonna find a lot of jank, because this is before we had like third person controls down. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
not the action platformer, not just the platformer. Like, those controls, like, I think Ratchet and Clank 2 is the closest, like the earliest one of those that we got to work really well. Where like, oh, the camera makes sense, and it makes sense what button does what. Like, oh, this one locks me into a strafe and shit. That does not exist in this game, so don't expect it. But it's pretty good, and you can also unlock the original 2 Pitfall games. Lots of secrets, lots of hidden shit, because, you know, you go back to previous areas with new abilities. It's Metroid.
Okay. Terrence, anything else?
Really the only other thing I had on here, and again, this is, I feel like, one that people know of, but the Aliens versus Predator game from 2010.
That one that gets overlooked a lot.
I think so. I was a huge fan of the ones that came out on PC, the first one and second one, the multiplayer in particular. So when I learned, I found out they were doing some of the people from the studio, because I don't think it was everybody from that team, but that they were making one for the at the time current system because it was on 360. Like I was super hyped to get back into it. But unfortunately, the multiplayer was kind of lacking. But what I liked most about that game, honestly, was the narrative. Because the PC games they tried to do a story with the Aliens versus Predator, but I think this one that came out in 2010 successfully kind of did it. Like everybody's story, I think worked. Like from the Predators one, which is one that that race is not one that's known to be very talkative and stuff, but the story that they crafted around them and stuff was really good. Same with the Xenomorphs and the Marines. But yeah, I don't know. I loved that game. But again, I was a big fan of the ones on PC. So you played it, Anthony? You liked it?
No, I've watched a friend play it.
Oh, okay.
I have it. I want to play it. This is one of those games where I'm like, I know I'm gonna like this. I watched my friend play. I think it was an online match actually, and he was playing as an alien crawling all over, and I was like, oh yeah, that's my type of shit.
Oh,
and
man.
then I found a used copy a lot later on. I didn't realize. I thought this was going to be like a 7 from the critics. 64.
No, it got slapped. It got slapped, and I feel like it's because I think it came out, like I said, this was for the 360 one, and I think maybe people felt like it didn't grow enough from maybe what because I can't remember the name. Rebellion, is that I think it was Rebellion. Yep. That did this. Yeah, it didn't grow enough from the past games that they had done. But like I said, I thought that the narrative stuff was a huge leap because that was something that the other ones didn't really have, and because of that, like I focused a lot of my time on the multiplayer again, which I loved. But yeah, with this, I don't know. I enjoyed this, but the multiplayer it died really quick. But they also had like a horde mode in this because this was, of course, after Gears of War had come out, and that was a thing. So it would set you in an area where it would be, I think it was just Marines though, Marines versus different waves of xenomorphs of the aliens and stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah, right.
Narratively, I guess that's the one that makes sense. Even though I wish it was horde mode, and then it was like you versus the other two. But
yes,
okay.
Right. Oh my god! Like
just
me and my friends. Oh god, go ahead.
Just have. Well, I guess maybe like if the Predators, you would have them they'd land in the middle of alien versus xenomorph versus Marine combat. The Marines is pretty easy. They're going to be attacked by both, even though the Predators would probably fight the aliens first. And I mean, the aliens are enemies of everything, so it's not like you couldn't make it work. But
I agree. But yeah, and this again is a franchise really that I wish that developers or whatever would go back to. But this game in particular, I know this is backwards compatible on Xbox because I picked it up on a sale recently. So it is on Xbox, and yeah, I mean if you catch it cheap enough and you like either of these two franchises, and because it plays like a first person shooter at the end of the day, but I liked it. I mean the multiplayer is not there, but just for the story, like the narrative was pretty intriguing especially as a fan of the franchise.
I need to play it. Well, what I want to do is play the original and then play the second game, but the second game's not sold officially, so I have to. I hate when I have to find like third party stuff. I'm always worried if someone's going to be trying to fuck with somebody else, and I'll just end up downloading the same file.
Yeah, the second game wasn't didn't review as well on PC. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I still want to play it.
I got you. I liked it, but yeah, it didn't. Yeah.
I forgot to mention the GBA version of Pitfall, because I wrote it down on the one sheet and then read the other. Was made by Taurus Games, and Taurus is the people that ported Doom 2 to GBA, which is like an amazing port. So, I mean, it makes sense that their game for Pitfall would be obviously not as good, but pretty decent still.
Right. Yeah.
All right,
that's all I had, though. That's my list, man.
Yeah.
What you got, Drew?
Well, my list is still kind of big, but I'll rattle off a few. A game. It's a game that I've never experienced. I've experienced it one time. So, how do I explain this? when I was still living with my roommates, my roommate had a modded Wii that had every title imaginable on it. And we would, pretty much every day, we did a lot of this on our stream that we used to do. We would just go through and just play something. And there was one that stuck out to me. I was like, this is actually kind of cool. I was not a big fan of the Wii. I didn't like the waggle controls and stuff like that. But there was this game called Fragile Dreams.
Oh my god! I've looked at that game and thought, like, I've heard good things, but do you know how much that game costs?
No.
Oh my god, it's expensive. Not the most expensive, but it's expensive.
Yeah, Fragile Dreams, Farewell Ruins of the Moon is the full title. That had some really, really cool mechanics. So there was a few gems that came out of the Wii that had some really cool stuff.
It's $75 for just a goddamn disc.
No.
$85.50 for a complete in box.
Get you a modded Wii and you have everything on it.
Yeah. And that's finding them, right? Like, if you want it now and in person, it's more money.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. I don't really know what this game is about. I remember seeing video footage for it and being like, I instantly don't want to watch more. I want to see what it is. But
it's like a post-apocalyptic game. There's stealth involved, and but you can also do there's combat too. Like, I know there was a slingshot that you could do. Of course, all this is done with the Wii remote and nunchuck. But it was something different. It was something, because, like we said, we had a modded Wii that had everything on it, and all of it was just a sea of crap.
Oh, yeah.
But every once in a while you get a gem like this, like, okay, there's something to this game. And I remember we played it, we probably played it on stream for probably 5-6 hours, and I was like, dude, this game's actually kind of cool. Like, it's got a lot going on, and I was just like, this is, they tried with this game. Kind of like how they did with the Silent Hill game.
The problem, I think, with Silent Hill by that point, I think, had already fallen out of favor. But the problem with that game is, if I hadn't seen that footage, I would have thought, and again, that was years ago, and I've only ever seen the game come up for sale at a local store once, and I was like, I'm not paying $150 for that. I thought it was like a Tales sort of like RPG.
No, this is more like a survival horror game.
But can you understand why I would think that?
Yeah, because the characters look like that. And
the cover is that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
and then I saw game footage. I'm like, this is not what I thought at all. Like, I would have assumed, like, literally we go into turn-based combat, bad dubbing type shit.
Yeah, no.
There's a game I'm thinking of for on the Wii. I just can't remember which one it is that I put it in the same category as that.
Yeah, no. This is more of like a survival horror game minus the horror. I would say there's some creepy elements to it, but it's not, it's not like Resident Evil scary or anything like that. But no, it was actually really cool. I wish I could go back and play it again. We only did it probably that 5 hours of it, but it's always stuck with me. And like every time I think of the Wii, I think of like, what was good on the Wii, and I was like, man, that game that we played that time, and I never can remember the name of it. I just had to look it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one that always stuck out to me. There's some on this list, like.
I mean, can I just quickly say on that, like, the Wii is filled with that type of shit. Unfortunately, like, just shit that we looked, like, we just weren't paying attention to it because the Wii was filled with shit.
Yeah.
Some really good games got swallowed up in that. I think Zack and Wiki got screwed, but that's a well-known title at least.
Yeah.
But like Batman Brave and the Bold. It's a way forward game.
That's a great beat 'em up.
Yeah, and there's a DS version that doesn't have the same talking, but like I feel that game should be as talked about as Arkham because it's its own really, really well done game. Like it should be talked about when we talk about Wii and DS, but the DS version doesn't have all the audio. The DS has a different story. You go through the same areas, and it looks really good too. But it's the Wii version, like, it is based off the Batman Brave and the Bold TV show, so it's using that design
like that
and those voices, and so they have those characters talk like through the entire mission.
Oh,
And it's like a platformer beat 'em up, and I think the biggest issue is it's like if it was any other company, I would say like maybe that's the reason why. But it's Way Forward. It's not like it's a no-name company.
Yeah.
Like it's a Way Forward doing better Way Forward work. But like I feel like the whole system is kind of those types of stories. Like Rabbids Go Home. It has good reviews, but like it is overshadowed by the shittier Rabbids minigame collections. Rabbids Go Home is like a very weird 3D action adventure. And then the DS one was like a Lemmings clone of all fucking things. It just man, the Wii, Deadly Creatures. Actually, this is a segue. Namco Museum Remix, which was like they remixed all their arcade games into new 3D games rather than trying to like, this is pole position, but it's in 3D. It's like this is pole position mixed with like Pac-Man Championship Edition sort of shit. Like it is weird. We're mashing up games together.
I haven't heard of this.
And they released it fucking twice. I have Remix, and then there's Mega Mix, which added some more stuff. However, the reason why I go into this, because I think that actually got a decent review score. The reason I go into this, though, is the game that made me even think of that collection, which is Pack and Roll, which is a DS game that they ported into that Wii collection, the entire game. It controls differently, obviously. You're no longer kind of flicking Pac-Man to roll. You can now tilt. But the whole idea is that Pac-Man is a ball, and you move him around a 3D world, but you are always looking down at him. And it works really well. It's sort of... I can't believe I'm saying this. Please understand that when I say this, I mean it's only the good parts of it, but it reminds me of Glover.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, because he sort of moves like a ball. Like he has ball sort of physics, and so he rolls down ramps, and he won't roll up the other side, up to the other way, unless you are like tilting, like swiping him forward to constantly keep him in spin.
So it's almost like Super Monkey Ball a little bit?
No, because I think Monkey Ball... You're getting ahead of me, Drew. We'll segue into that in a moment. I think... yes, okay, let's say it's sort of like Monkey Ball, but it's a different perspective than Monkey Ball. You're not behind the ball, you're kind of above it. And the other reason why I wouldn't say it's exactly the same is these are still levels. They feel like a 3D platformers levels, but are made for the physics of how Pac-Man rolls. Okay. So it's almost like if you took a Tony Hawk level, sort of, with all the pipes, and so sometimes you have to roll him along a very thin beam and stuff like that. But it's not the same as Monkey Ball, where Monkey Ball is about sort of you have 60 seconds to get to the exit. This is still more of a... I think there's a time limit, if I'm correct, but it's like it asks you to explore the stage still. It is a standard sort of platformer stage, just built around the design of the game. But it's a lot of fun, and it's a game I picked up from a bargain bin. It has a 72 on Metacritic, so it's not like a highest rated game. However, the users seem to like it a lot more with 8.2. I fall into that category. I think it's an 8. You can unlock the original Pac-Man. It's nowhere near the way I would recommend playing Pac-Man, but you can unlock it. And it's neat because he gets like different hats, and the different hats change the effects of him. So like when he gets his Peter Pan / Robin Hood hat, and I don't know what, it's got a little white feather in it. He actually is lighter, so he picks up air gusts and stuff. So he like when the wind blows, he'll be blowing with it if you can like flick him off a ramp and stuff. It's really neat. There's a lot of neat stuff. Like I thought it was really smart, and I played that whole game and was like, man, this was a lot of fun. And then I bought the Wii version because I liked it so much, and then like that plus the other games looked interesting. It's funny though, because yes, Monkey Ball's also on my list with another DS game, Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll. It's good. I don't know what to say. It's Monkey Ball. Oh man. So this is where the theme music that I'll send you, Drew, is going to come from.
Okay.
Chiho Kobayashi is the composer. They ended up rewriting or redoing this music for the Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz on the Wii. It's the same compositions, but like with better instrumentation, and they changed a little bit of the sound so it fit different stages. So like in one level, which is the music I'll be sending you, Meteorite Mayhem, the whole sort of on the DS, the sort of look of everything is you are in this stage above this giant like meteor made lake, and there's like you see like in the dark sky you see all these like meteors falling in the distance. And in the Wii version, they use that same song for a swamp. So they kind of changed how it sounds, but it's so good. And it's one of the sad things with the Banana Blitz HD re-release is that they don't have rights to the music anymore. But the music is so good. And man, this game is really hard because without the analog, the stages are a little bit simpler. But like you can use the stylus. I use the D-pad, so it kind of like slightly tilt a little bit and just constantly keep tilting the stage to kind of move the way I need to. Mm-hmm. But it's so challenging. But every stage's music is so fucking amazing. There's songs that are like some of my favorite video game music in this game. I just like when I send you it, you'll probably be like, "Oh, this is really good." There's like a I want to say it's like Big Bang Zero or whatever. It's like one of the space stages, and that song's amazing too. Like, oh, it's so well done. And I think the problem is because it got a Metacritic of 63 and a user score of 7.3. So even the Monkey Ball fans don't necessarily love this game the most. It's my favorite. I think a lot of people overlooked it though because it was more impressive to see because in like a couple of years, Super Monkey Ball would be out on a phone, the iOS, right? And it was kind of sort of built off of this game. And Junior was not like so far out of memory because Junior came out on the Game Boy Advance, and that's a more impressive feat to do a 3D stage for Monkey Ball in the Game Boy Advance than it is the DS. So I think it just kind of fell out. There's another game though where I was like going through a bargain bin and I was like, "Oh, we played Monkey Ball on GameCube. This is $20. I'm going to use my allowance." And one of my favorite DS games. My favorite Super Monkey Ball game, and it's not like I totally understand that other games have better stages and stuff, but it's just one of those. This is my favorite because of like it was just hit at the right place at the right time. Plus, it has a mini golf game, so you don't get full golf, but you do get mini golf, which is neat.
There you go. Terrence, is your list exhausted?
It is. Yes, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't go super deep. I'm so sorry. I'll be more.
No, it's
fine.
No, it's fine. We've got plenty of stuff here. I've still got like 6 things on my list here.
Right.
I got 2. So
I don't have much to talk about on this one. Well, go ahead.
One more thing. Nagoshi directed that Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll before he was no longer doing Super Monkey Ball. Before he would just strictly go to Yakuza.
Jesus. And then he put Kiryu in a Monkey Ball.
And then they put Kiryu in a Monkey Ball, yes.
That's right. So I'll just rattle off some of these. Rocksteady's first game, Urban Chaos Riot Response. That game is ridiculous and stupid. But it's fun. It's basically just, It has so I know Siphon Filter did it first, but you can take a taser and shock somebody until they burst into flames.
I can't.
Yes.
I don't know why that was ever a thing, but okay.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh god.
I'm not even gonna question it. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's just fact now.
One of the cool mechanics of Urban Chaos is so you play as like a riot guy, and you always have a riot shield. And there's a dedicated button to bringing it up. So if you don't want to take damage, just throw your shield up, kind of thing. And it allows you. It changes up the way a first-person shooter plays because a lot of times if you get shot a lot, you have to go rest somewhere for a minute or go find a health pack. With this game, you may have a guy shooting at you, just pull your riot shield up, and you can slowly make your way toward him, kind of thing. So there was some cool mechanics there. The theme song is ridiculous. It's a fun time. It really is. It's really stupid.
Did this have any? Because I remember on PlayStation I played a game called Urban Chaos. Was this a sequel or was this like just a totally different thing?
This is
all
a
right.
completely different thing. Urban Chaos Riot Response is on Xbox and PlayStation 2. Urban Chaos is a completely different franchise altogether, different developer. I know which one you're talking about though. On PlayStation 1.
Yeah, because I think it was Eidos. I think because it was on Dreamcast too. I think, but okay.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this game was called something else somewhere else. I'm pretty sure Urban Chaos was like probably called like Zero Tolerance somewhere or something like that. I think it was Zero Tolerance. I can't remember. Next game, just a quick one. I adore this game. When I was in security a long time ago, my DS was like my companion. I know I shouldn't have been playing my DS while I should have been guarding stuff, but night shifts are long. And this was a game called Planet Puzzle League, which I think is a absolutely fantastic puzzle game.
It's for anyone that doesn't know, it's Paneled Upon or Tetris Attack.
Yes, basically. It was one of the first DS games where I had to play sideways. And you used the stylus to like move the blocks around and stuff. Had a great soundtrack too.
It doesn't have as good a soundtrack as Pokemon Puzzle League, Puzzle whatever on the N64, which is all the old anime themes, but made so it's background music.
Yeah.
I do listen to that quite often, but I have not played this version. I actually have it on my DS now.
Oh, Planet Puzzle League?
Yeah, I mean, it's there. I don't think there's too many ports to modern consoles of Puzzle League outside of like just old Tetris Attack. So that is, I think, the newest release of it.
It's good. I enjoyed the crap out of that game. Another one that I think was for its time fun, Viking Battle for Asgard.
I have that, but I need to play it. That was one I think I may have got for free from Sega.
That's just like
give us your email and we'll send you a Steam key. Okay.
It's an action game. There are some really bad stealth segments in it, but that game is one of those like kind of just.
Where did that come from? Where did bad stealth segments come from? Who thought like this is what this game needs?
I don't know. That's the 360 era for you, man.
No, man, it goes back to PS2.
Well, sure.
I mean, shit, it goes back to N64. Fucking Zelda has one. Why?
It's true. I don't know. It's
so fucking weird. Zelda doesn't have one. Zelda has two.
Two of
they
them.
Have two in that game. Just the second one's a lot better.
But yeah, Viking. That's a fun, just dumb, like violent game.
That's the third person one, right?
Yes, it's the third person one.
Because the other one is a top down, like Diablo thing. It's Vikings, I think.
Yeah, it's not good.
One is Viking and one is Vikings.
Yeah, Viking Battle for Asgard looks like
SEO.
Yeah. Another one that I absolutely adore. A lot of people have played it. Some people, Jay always gives me crap for it. Hand of Fate. I absolutely love that game.
Did you play the second one?
Yes, I played the second one as well.
I like that game. That's the one where you like the dealer like puts out cards and stuff, and then like you take control of a. Yeah. I like that game.
Yeah, it's a deck building game with like a board game mechanic, and then on top of that, when you go into combat, it's actually kind of like a budget
Third
Batman.
Person. Yeah.
I just came up with an idea. Next time Matt can't do a series, I'll play Hand of Fate. I know I have it.
Honestly, Hand of Fate 2 is a way better game.
It is.
Yeah,
The
but I'm not
second one is
playing.
better
I'm not
than the
playing.
first
I'm not moving to the second one before I play the first. It'll just ruin the first one.
Yeah, sure. Let's see here. I mentioned it last
I'm
week.
gonna just one more thing, not related to this conversation really. You two need to play World of Horror because it's literally like. So when I say cards, you're
It's
not
like
handed cards.
it's like a deck building game without the deck.
Yeah, it draws the cards for you and tells you the story from those elements that it draws. And you get to choose, like, as you unlock packs, like, do I want to play with this pack also included in the deck? So you unlock shops that you can visit inside the town once you unlock certain packs. So, like, but you can only have 2 shops active. So, like, do you have the police station active and the shop that's run by the dog? Or do you have the shop that's run by the dog and a vending machine? Or do you have the vending machine that's with the occult shop? It's so fucking good. And then instead of having, like, Batman combat, which is arguably more exciting, to be fair, but it goes into, like, a JRPG combat. But what it does is instead of saying, like, oh, you can only attack, you can only do one action per turn, what it does is it gives you an amount of time. And every action takes time. And you basically fill up the bar and then just go do the actions I just told you to.
Gotcha.
So you can attack and defend if you're fast enough, it increases the amount of actions you can do in a certain amount of time.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
I'm going to say it now, it's going to be one of my games of the year.
I'll look into it. I will definitely look into it. I know you've been.
I only say
pushing
that
it on
because
me.
you both like card games.
Yeah, I'm looking into it.
Title that I mentioned last week for a good amount of time, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. The Chant. I think everybody should at least play that game.
I saw that on clearance at Walmart, but because I don't have an Xbox Series X, I was like, well,
yeah,
damn.
Yeah, that's a series only. That's a next gen.
I might see if I can run it on PC. You sold me on it. I want to play it now because I don't know. Like looking at the screens, it gave me Alan Wake 1 vibes a bit.
It's kind of like that.
Not like it's a horror vibe, but not like that scary.
No, it's not. It's not particularly scary. They do some really cool stuff with like creepy vibes. The game can it can feel slightly frantic, like a la Resident Evil 4. Like it just
That's
like
fine.
oh crap, there's like 3 guys here and I'm not very well equipped for this, kind of thing. But yeah, the Chant, I will champion that game for a very long time. I think it's a great game that a lot of people didn't play. It is like the little engine that could, in my opinion.
By the way, Urban Chaos working titles were Roll Call and Zero Tolerance.
Thank you. I knew Zero Tolerance was in there somewhere.
Can I guess one that's on your list?
Go for it.
In Sound Mind?
Holy shit! I completely forgot about Inside Sound Mind. That's not on my list.
I'll spoil it for you though. It does have good scores. It's like one of the few that we've had so far that's a 75 in the green as a Metascore and user score of 8.2.
Yeah, and Sound Mind is great. That is, they do some really cool stuff there. It's a little bit. It's budget. It's budget. I would say the Chant is more polished than In Sound Mind, but In Sound Mind does some really cool stuff. Like that.
I was hoping.
Go ahead.
You reviewed this, didn't you?
I did review this.
I'm surprised it didn't show up on Metacritic.
It should show up on Metacritic.
Wow, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, In Sound Mind. Like I adored that game. I totally forgot about it, but yeah, that's a really cool game. They do some really cool things, but it definitely is got that budget feel to it. But that hit all the right notes for me, like that segment where you're in the abandoned shopping mall and you got like this crazy ghost lady who's
The
chasing
mannequin's
after
fucked
you.
with me already. I don't know if I can do the Ghost Lady. I have this on PC. It came with a bundle of games I bought, so it's on the list.
So you can't look at the ghost lady because it's almost like Medusa. So
Okay.
she will chase after you. So the way you fight her off, and you don't really fight her off, you just make her run away, is that you have to show her your reflection, her reflection. So you hold up a piece of a mirror. So it's first person. You hold up a piece of a mirror, and you have to have your back turned to her when she's chasing after you. And you hold up the mirror, and she sees her face in the mirror and runs away from you. There's small segments like that. It's just really cool.
That sounds cool. I've seen this. Like I just looked it up on Steam. I've seen this cover art. This weird purple guy in the hat. Like I didn't realize what this was. Huh.
Yeah, he talks to you a lot. He shows up.
Nice.
I
He's
played
kinda
the
creepy.
demo, and the demo creeped me out. I'll be honest.
In Sound Mind is legit kind of creepy at times.
The mannequins moving around and pointing in the direction and stuff. I was like, I don't like this. There's a moment where like one of them peeked around a corner, and I was like, yeah, fuck this.
No, that game will creep you out. Let's see here. There's
I got
only
one
3.
that'll creep you out.
Go for it.
That's a bad segue. Wallace and Gromit in Project Zoo.
What the fuck?
So
now?
Wallace and Gromit have a couple of games. One of them is the unavailable Telltale series, which is just point and click. You know, it's a Telltale. It's Telltale before they just became Blank. Will remember that
Oh yeah.
Factory.
Yeah.
There's a more actiony game based on Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and then there's Wallace and Gromit and Project Zoo. I will not tell you this is a good game, but it does feel like if Wallace and Gromit had an action or a collectathon platformer, that this is the way they would do it. They get weird gadgets. You play as Gromit. Wallace, sort of, you can put him on switches. You have to get him in certain places. It's mostly a puzzle platformer in a way. It's janky. It is not put together all that great. But I like Wallace and Gromit, and I liked what they were doing in this game. The meta score is 67. The user score is 2.3. I think I lean closer to the 67. But I can't tell you to go out and get it. This is like if you see it for like $2, you know that you're gonna have a unique $2 experience. If you have to play this through a ISO, that's the way I would recommend it. Unless you're like a big Wallace and Gromit fan like me, and I'm not even a big one, but I like them enough to kind of take any media they do in. But yeah, I mean, it's a game that no one talks about, and the people that did are like, well, it's fine, but it's broken in ways. It reminds me a lot of Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, but Spyro the Enter the Dragonfly had some prestige to live up to, and so when it's a janky mess, there's a problem. But with Wallace and Gromit, it's like, this is the first game I played with Wallace and Gromit, and it's fine. The gadgets, and of course, it's the bad guy is the penguin, Feathers McGraw. Like, it's not doing anything new. It's not like a necessity, but it's fun. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
But I mean, 2.3, good God.
Yeah, man, that's jeez.
Kick their dog and fuck their mother is what that score says.
Yeah, that's bad.
So the last 3 on my list are very old games, and I say very.
Okay, well
old,
then
but
I will stay in the ballpark and just
Okay.
get my last one out of the way.
Go for
Last
it.
DS game. I had a lot of portable stuff from me. Clearly, I had my console of choice. So The Sims 2. The Sims 2 has a lot of different versions. If you're playing console, it's like a modified version, from my understanding, of the PC game. I know the 3 was more of a step forward. Like, there was still some sort of like difference between the PS2 one, but I never got into that. But on mobile platforms, they were like, you only control one sim. So I'm kind of rounding out with a bunch of stuff here, but Herbs, don't play the console version of Herbs. Play the DS or Game Boy Advance version of Herbs, because it is a isometric, like, you have to manage. It's almost like a survival game, but instead of having to scrounge for food, you just have to go and buy it. So you have to make enough money to buy food to feed your sim or whatever, and pay for rent, and if you want to change your clothes or whatever. And there's missions that you do, and they take you different places. That's what the Game Boy Advance stuff was. I think all of them were made by Griptonite, which are the people that did like the really good Spider-Man DS games. But the one that stood out to me, and don't get me wrong, the PSP version also is a very similar experience, was the DS game. Where you end up in a small, like, desert town, and when I say desert, I mean, like, Wild West tiny desert town. And you're not sure how you got there, and you are now the new manager of the hotel. The only hotel in town. And you start off with, like, just one floor open because, like, the hotel is barely clinging to life. And as you make more money, and there's a bunch of different ways to do that, you have to do the standard sim stuff. I have to go use a toilet. I have to clean the room. I have to do all this stuff. You start being able to add more rooms to the hotel. So, like, one is an art gallery. And when you go in the art gallery, you can use the stylus to paint on the canvases and then sell the paintings for money. You can go to the weight room to work out. This is the dance hall, and I can go up and DJ my own music, sort of, and I get tips for DJing, and that's more money. And then eventually you're opening the Rat Cave, which is definitely not the Bat Cave, which is a secret lair that you have. And then you can turn into Ratman and go and fight crime. Yes, I'm not kidding. This is a 3D game where you control a single sim and you have to run over and attack villains. You go out into the desert. You can get abducted by aliens. There's a bunch of arcade games that are, like, completely functional, and your character, it doesn't, like, go into the game. It shows over the shoulder of your character in real time. You can move the camera around and you play little arcade games. They're minor, but I mean, it is running a game in a game on the DS. Man, there's so much to do, and there's actually a plot, and it's so impressive that they squeeze it all in, which is probably why you can break this game and lock your file badly. If you do, so eventually you can get a laboratory, and you can get you can go out into the desert with a metal detector, which you have to buy, which means you have to work, which is, again, smart progression. Once you get it, you can go and find alien mummies in the desert, and you can play a game called Alien Autopsy. And if you play that game once, and you don't just sell the corpse outright, because you can make more money if you dissect it, your save is now screwed. Starts off with weird things happening, like, hey, there's this pirate this captain character, and now there's two of them in this room, and they're talking to each other. And slowly but surely, eventually you'll, like, try to leave the hotel, and it'll just totally freeze, and they'll do that every single time. It's really held together with duct tape. The composer for this game would eventually go and make the game a Scapegoat. The composer went and just was like, I'm gonna make my own game now. Ian Stalker. It's such a weird trajectory. Yeah, it's actually a really, really well done game.
And the official title of this is
The Sims 2.
That's the
problem.
The Sims 2 period?
Yeah, so it has a Metascore of 70, but I can't get a user score. And that's the problem with The Sims 2. The Sims 2 on the Game Boy Advance, the PSP, and the DS all have different stories, all taking in the same... But they use the same characters, and they use some of the same systems. But, like, in The Sims 2 on the Game Boy Advance, you're in town working for a movie or a TV show producer, and you're the only person that knows it's a reality TV show. Which then you do like an advertisement for like this medicine or whatever, and then it shrinks you and somebody else down, and now you're fighting ants.
What the?
The PSP version is you roll into a gas station, your car is broken down, and you go and buy a house in this little neighborhood. It's weird. There are these, and they all were Sims 2, and it's like, no, they're not the same game at all.
Gotcha. So aside from having to review The Sims 4, I think the console version of it, I also reviewed The Sims Medieval.
I remember.
And
I remember a friend playing that.
I know a lot of people who were big into The Sims hated Sims Medieval, but I actually really liked it.
I do
I think around that time was the point where EA was really starting to see how much they could press people for money.
Probably.
Because that's when I think they stopped doing expansions and just started doing stuff packs.
Yeah.
Which end up costing people more for less. But I will say, speaking of spin-offs, the My Sims series was pretty decent too. Specifically the DS ones. I can't speak for the Wii games, but take Animal Crossing sort of.
Okay.
But put a little bit more gameplay agency into it. And then make all the characters look I don't want to say off Mii's, but you can clearly see they were trying to make Mii equivalents in the My Sims universe, because they all had kind of blockheads and stuff. But that's kind of how the furniture is built too. You don't just buy a bed, you sort of build a bed, and it's all grid based. And then you can just put it around in the room and stuff. And I don't know, that whole series was interesting. But then they did racers and pilots and spies and kingdom. They did a lot of neat stuff with My Sims. They really tried to push that, and I think towards the end it was they did a pretty good kart racer, and they did a pretty good flight. I mean, it's arcade flight, but it's dogfighting essentially.
But yeah, no, I reviewed The Sims Medieval, and that was back when we were still getting discs. So they sent me a PC disc.
Oh my god!
And I think I still have it somewhere if I didn't throw it away. Is that useless now? Or can I still install that game?
What you do is you install it, and then you just find either a fan made patch or whatever to make it work. Because technically the code should still work, but if it doesn't, you still have the legitimate disc. So just crack it. It's a little bit harder to say when you're taking the game that's brand new, but it's not like they're selling it online. Actually, they might be, but
I think they are. Actually,
you still have an official copy of it. So I don't think morally there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. So the last three, as I said, are older games, definitely older games. PlayStation 1 era games.
Perfect Weapon. Really, Drew?
Yeah,
really?
Right. That will never show up on, except for games to torture somebody with.
I wish I had a physical copy. So I could have fucking thrown it away.
So you could break it.
That or sell it off, this might be the worst game I ever played. $10.
Yeah, right.
And the sad part is that studio did that game twice. That studio also made Bob, and I love Bob. That's a good game. Hurts.
So
sorry, PS1.
Yeah. I think if I mention this, people will perk up and say, "Oh, I remember that game." Legend of Legaia.
I only know of it. I only know of it in the most vaguest of vague terms.
So if you look up the cover art, you will know exactly the game I'm talking about.
Yep, I remember this. Yep, I liked this game.
I did too. So Legend of Legaia was kind of like a turn-based RPG. I don't know if Xenogears came out first, but it had the same kind of combat that Xenogears did, where it was like a combo-based system, where you could choose to do left punch, right punch, kick, and you let those play out. and depending on the combos, you may create a whole new move kind of thing. Some of them would use like grappling moves, like wrestling moves and stuff like that. And I remember that being actually really cool. They made a sequel too that I never actually played. I think it was on the PlayStation 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Didn't know it got a sequel.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
I think it was just called Legaia 2.
Legaia 2 Dual Saga.
There you go.
Okay.
Let me see here. Yeah, PS2 in 2002.
There you go.
I'm looking up. Xenogears came out first.
Did it come out first? Okay.
Yep. 98, Legaia 99.
There you go.
Well, technically Japan 98, but like it was February 11th for Xenogears in Japan. So
Yeah, that was back when we had to wait for a year for the Final Fantasies and all that stuff. It didn't come out the same day worldwide. We had to wait.
What
for
I'm
the
impressed
editions.
with is looking at the screenshots. When you equip stuff, it actually shows on the character.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was one of the things that I liked about it too, because I remember in Final Fantasy VII, your weapons changed, but like your armor and stuff didn't.
Yeah.
That
I remember accidentally
was...
equipping Barrett with that fucking a cannonball arm.
Yeah.
You mean my range guy? I'm gonna give him something that's now a melee attack, and I'm fucked and stuck with it? Fuck, god damn it.
Yeah, that was a good game, Drew. I forgot all about that game. Go ahead, sorry, man.
I gotta play it. I'm sure it's on my PS3.
Yep, Legend of Legaia. The other one, Threads of Fate, which was a Squaresoft game.
I'm gonna see the cover and probably go, oh yeah. I was gonna say, watch, I'm gonna know this one. Mm-hmm.
So Threads of Fate was kind of like a action RPG.
Yep.
I would say kind of like it was a little Zelda-ish. More
I
like
just remember the stupid hat.
more like Ys, the Ys series.
Okay.
You had two different characters that you could play as. Kind of a cutesy RPG. Came out around the same
Hold
time
on.
as Legend of
This
Legaia.
had a different name.
What, Threads
Did
of
it?
Fate?
Hold on. No, okay. I'm sorry. You know what? I was looking at a picture that title is bad when it's small. It's hard to read on certain backgrounds. Like, oh, in Japan it was called Dew Prism.
Okay.
For some, I don't know, man. Does Threads of Fate work better than Dew Prism?
I have no idea.
Okay.
And it just I was just reminded of another game that I do want to mention, which I think a lot of people remember and regard pretty highly. Heart of Darkness. Heart of Darkness is...
That's the Eric Chahi one? No, it's the... Yeah, it's Eric Chahi, the Another World, right? Another World guy.
Yeah, Another World game. We play as a kid.
He kills that kid violently.
That kid dies in such violent ways, and it is creepy. Just want to bring that up. But the game that I still own, so there's only one game that I still own from the Game Boy, and that is
You're about to say Tetris?
No, Power Quest.
Oh my god, I know this game. I've never played it. I've almost bought it multiple times. I'm like, that's kind of cool looking.
Power Quest is really cool. So Power Quest is a RPG, but all the battles play like Street Fighter.
Okay.
And like the characters, you can equip different stat boosting stuff for your characters, so they'll do different things. They can earn new attacks, stuff like that. But all the battles take place in like a fighting game sense. Power Quest has some of the best music from the Game Boy era. I'm not kidding.
Looking at who's published it, I'm not surprised.
Is that Sunsoft?
Sunsoft.
Yep.
Sunsoft.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too.
The fucking Kings.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find out who composed the music.
Because, man, the music in that game is so good. But yeah, that's like I still own that game.
I guess Capcom published it in Japan.
I could see that because
Developer was Japan Supply System. Oh my god, I thought I recognized that name. These are the people that made Chameleon Twist. This was made between Chameleon Twist and Chameleon Twist 2, which was their final game. Oh my god. I like their stuff. They don't exist anymore. No, it sucks.
But yeah.
Now I have to play it.
It's really good. It's actually really good. But
I don't know if any of you played a Chameleon Twist before. But...
I have not.
Oh, Terrence, please come through.
I have not. I'm sorry. It sounds familiar.
It's okay. So Chameleon Twist. Okay, so Chameleon Twist is there's like certain games in my head from the N64 era that I just go, nobody owned that. It was always rented. Because like Snowboard Kids, for example. But I feel like people know Snowboard Kids.
Yeah,
right?
We rented it from Blockbuster at sleepovers. Yep.
Yeah, and 2 was even better. Chameleon Twist is one of those games. I've only ever seen the second one, like, from a rental place. So, they are short games. They are not the best games, but they are unique games. If you liked Bomberman 64, Bomberman Hero, which was not a great game by any means either, it's sort of like that. It's a 3D platformer. You see it from the side, but kind of an angle. So, like, you know, it's sort of like a 2D side scroller, but you can move kind of in and out of the background. And sometimes you, like, for emphasis, you'll go down a long path, like, straight away from the camera and stuff like that. But the trick is that because you're a chameleon, they don't do anything with the color changing. Don't think about that part about chameleons. But because of the tongue is used for platforming. So, like, you can put the tongue, like, underneath you to, like, fling yourself up. He, like, uses it as a spring. The tongue can also be used to grab enemies, but you, like, when you're extending the tongue, you actually have control over it. So you can, like, line up enemies with the tongue, you're, like, moving it around, and then you swallow all those enemies at once, and then you fire them out. It's also used to, like, grab, like, sticks and rotate around them. Like, it's a really well done game. Oh my god. And then the second game in North America, they made them look more like chameleons. I don't know how I feel about that, but it was also really good. It's just, again, both those games are really short. So and I think the second one's pretty expensive. The first one I found for like $10 for just the cartridge. I love those games enough to own them, but it by no means is it like worth spending a lot of money on. Emulate them. That company's gone, unfortunately. They've been gone for over 20 years, basically. So, yeah. I do love that game. And so it's funny that this is the same team that made it. It looks like they don't have music. They just have sound by Koichi Fujiwara, who did sound on Chameleon Twist 2 as well as Sold Out on the PlayStation, a game I've never heard of. Sold Out is a Japan-exclusive band simulation video game published by Shinko Music. Sure.
There you go. That's all I got. So there's always those things of like, do I remember that game? And like I remember there was an RPG on the PlayStation 1 that I played where you play as like a knight and he had like a little rabbit that followed him around.
Hold on now. Do you remember when you were trying to find out D2?
I do remember trying to find D2.
I can't believe you found that still.
That RPG with the guns.
Guardians Crusade.
Guardians Crusade. I remember playing that. Yeah. I still have
that is early 3D.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I still have yet to find that friggin' pirate game.
Yeah, I can't help you with that. I've tried.
I've scoured the internet for it, and for the life of me, I can never find that game. So, it is what it is. But we do have an email, actually, talking about this. Comes in from Jason. And it says, hi, Drew, you were talking about the games that are good but not perfect independent games. I'll put in another plug for The First Tree as one of those. The controls are kind of janky at times, but the story and feelings have stuck with me years after playing this short game more than many AAA games. Good luck with your Nightmare Before Christmas game. I'll leave that to you, Jason. The First Tree. Anybody heard of it?
I just looked it up.
I've confused this game with Shelter.
Really?
I don't
I've
know
played
Shelter.
Sheltered.
Not Sheltered, Shelter.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Shelter is a game where you play as a fox, I think. You play as an animal. Sorry, the first game you're a badger. You're a mother badger. I don't remember what the other games are. Wow, there's a lot of them now. Oh my god, okay. Sorry. I was not expecting this many games in the series. In the second game you're a lynx, so maybe that's what I was confusing it with. They're very different looking games, but for some reason in my head, artistic game with animal in it, all just blended together.
Gotcha. I have not heard of this game.
The visuals remind me, do you remember the game Rime?
Rime.
It was like a puzzle game that was made by, it's one of those devs I like, but I always forget the name of. Give me a second. It was by Tequila Works. It had like Ico vibes, but it was kind of like cel shaded.
Okay, yeah.
This reminds me sort of that with a little bit more, a little less polygons, but like it's got that same sort of like color to the world. There's like this. I'll just show you this one frame that I'm looking at. I'm just looking at the Steam page, but I don't know. There's something about that makes me want to play this game.
Okay, yeah.
I've never heard of... I've heard of this, but I didn't know... I legitimately thought this was part of another series, and that series just never interested me. So, this is on the list immediately.
Okay. The First Tree, we'll have to check it out. Thank you. But I think we've exhausted enough of your time. We're 2 hours in.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a podcast.
Fun. Yeah.
No. It's fun to reminisce about these games. It's
games that don't come up in conversation all that much, even as much as I try to force them.
Yeah. I mean, and y'all gave me some stuff to try. Like, I just installed DMC while we were on here, so I'm gonna go and check that out.
Out of all the games that I think you're going to really like, fucking DMC is so
so good. It's so good.
The latter half of that game gets so much better than the first. The weapon switching and everything feels way better. Oh my god.
The one thing I will mention that I'm surprised was not on your list, Anthony, and it may be because I think it reviewed pretty well. Excuse me. Was the Eternal Cylinder? It's
because it reviewed pretty well.
Okay.
I think with the Eternal Cylinder also,
that game fascinates me. From whenever when you were talking about it and raving about it, I've always wanted to try it, but I have my reservations about it.
Here's the issue with all of Ace Team. Ace Team is one of the most creative studios on the face of the earth. I have never seen somebody be so uncompromising with what they want to do. All their games are fucking ugly. Not a single one of them is nice looking.
Yeah.
and their most normal looking game, which is Rock of Ages, is still weird.
Sure.
It's still a weird looking game. And so, the Xenoclash is just nightmare fuel.
I don't like those games.
I like the concept of them. I like the world of them. But it's a Source game. And outside of Half-Life 2, I don't think Source games held up very well.
Yeah, I don't think they played very well. And they tried to mimic the Xbox game Breakdown, and I didn't like Breakdown either.
Yeah, I mean, Mirror's Edge kind of did all that stuff better.
Breakdown. Yeah, Mirror's Edge did do all that better, but I liked Breakdown.
I couldn't stand Breakdown.
It was different. It was weird.
All these games are weird.
That's true.
So Ace Team, let me just quickly go through Xenoclash, Rock of Ages, Xenoclash 2, Abyss Odyssey, which is fairly normal-ish, Deadly Tower of Monsters, which, boy, like, Drew, you like Gunslinger? Like, this is sort of that, but it's like an old science fiction director talking about how his movie was, but he keeps, like, changing parts. And all the monsters move like they're stop animation. And it's a top-down shooter.
Sounds cool.
It works really well. It shows you how, like, because it's done though, so it really looks like stop animation. Like, some of the monsters just look so wrong moving. Like, you're just like, oh god, like the frame rate on that is so bad. But the rest of the game's moving at normal speed. It's so well done. It has a ton of character. But it's fucking weird. Rock of Ages 2. Soul Seraph, people didn't like that because it was sort of an attempt to redo ActRaiser, but without the license. Rock of Ages 3. Then they do Eternal Cylinder, Return to Xenoclash with Clash Artifacts of Chaos. The Eternal Cylinder, though. Eternal Cylinder is a survival game that has platforming elements in it, and you outrun a giant goddamn cylinder. It's so fucking weird. I don't like survival games for the most part, but because it constantly is trying to push you forward and therefore move the plot forward too, it's fascinating. And it's set up like it's almost like a wildlife documentary. You're part of the Treblums, and it's got this British man that's talking about all the stuff that's happening. And when you fight the monsters in this game are so fucked up. The servants of the cylinder. Man. But it's such a... This is the type of shit that I'm like, yeah, do some weird science fiction shit. There's a cylinder that encompasses all that you can see, and it is built to destroy, and in its path new things grow. But all it does is destroy. That's all this cylinder does. And the cylinder is sentient. Sort of. And somebody left ruins that help stop the cylinder temporarily. And sometimes you'll be like able to just kind of explore, and as soon as you walk out of an area, that pillar is now weakened and the cylinder starts to roll. It tells you where it ends. And then sometimes it'll just break, and you have to stop what you're doing and move your team to the next stop location that you have to activate. So if you miss it, you could be rolling even further, and you will run out of energy. And you have to, like, upgrade your Treblums, so, like, oh, you're in cold climate, they have to eat something that gives them hair, because they change form based on what they eat. I love that game. But it is well known. It's just, unlike everything else this company does, it's so unsellable. How do you sell this concept to somebody? And I don't know. But I love that they are uniquely them. I would hate to see anyone try to do what they do, because I just don't think it'll have the same charm. Because the Treblums are not cute in a conventional way. They're kind of ugly, as is the rest of the world. But they're just kind of cute by the fact that the rest of the world is even worse, I guess. And that you play as them, so you have some emotion, and they actually sleep in houses and have some sort of, like, care for each other. But, like, it's the whole world is just out for one another. Oh, man. I could watch a fake documentary about the things on that planet.
I want to try it.
I'm telling you right now, it is not. When I say survival game, it's because they do need to drink water and eat food, but it is not like a. Also, you now have to figure out how to do math because you have to automate these entire systems to make it so you can explore more. It's not like that at all, because the idea is that you are trying to stop the cylinder once and for all, but you watch this cylinder roll over areas that like the old Treblums that talk to you, they're like, I can't go on anymore, I'm too old. So take my knowledge with you and pass it on to the other Treblums, because I'm going to die. And you watch these cylinders crush the landscape behind you. And at one point you go behind the cylinder, and it's like, it's fucked up. It's a really dark, weird game. I love that fucking thing.
I'll have to try it one day. Speaking of which, I have been browsing a little bit.
Of course.
And Terrence will perk up here. They're making Dave the Diver cross Dredge.
Oh.
And
Wow.
I kind of want to play this.
That could be cool.
What is he gonna do? Go and kill like eldritch monsters and then serve them up as sushi? I guess there's more.
I mean, yeah,
tentacles.
probably.
Looking for some creepy stuff, I guess. Anyway.
What a weird crossover. Okay.
All right.
That is weird, but that's awesome.
So, if you would like to send an email, it is drew@ztgd.com.
Your emails of games that you think fit this sort of criteria are still welcome. I still am always looking for weird shit.
Yes, absolutely. So if you have any more of those hidden gems, 6 out of 10 games that nobody's played except for you, let me know. You can also tweet to me and Terrence. I am at DML Fury, and Terrence, you are at Lord Magnus?
Lord Magnus. Yep. Just the
Okay.
O is a 0. Yep, that's it.
Gotcha. And the podcast itself is at ZTGD Phoenix Down. That's going to be it for us. Thank you so much for listening, and if you do have those suggestions, please send them our way. But until next time, I'm going to let Anthony go first. Until next time, I am Drew.
I'm Anthony. What? I thought you were saying go first, and I was like, okay.
No. Because Terrence don't know how to do this.
Right, I was going to be like, and I'm Liesel. Like, I don't know what.
I usually do one stupid like that. If I can relate it back to the games, but usually it's like a single game I can relate it back to. It's a little harder
Right.
today.
But yeah, that's it. Going to be coming back with Dead Space, so keep an eye out for that next week. But that's it for us. Hope you guys have a great one.
dogs, hiding for the numbers in the captain's logs. And his evil ways, that is a man he don't tell. I see no way out of hell. Like years away from home, just my demons and I alone. This hammer, my key, this my wishing way out. I gotta find my way out of hell. I see no way out of hell. Like she's away from home, just my demons and I alone. This hammer, my key, this mind, my wishing way out. I gotta find my way out of hell. Yeah. She's away from home, just my demons and I alone. This hammer, my key, this mind, my wishing way out. I gotta find my way out of here. Like she's away from home, just my demons and I alone. This hammer, my key, this mind, my wishing way out. I gotta find my way out of